Hey guys, Metal Driver here bringing you a custom tutorial video. And today, in celebration of 316 Day, I'll be showing you how to make your own custom Stone Cold Steve Austin vests. Now, I'm not going to be molding any vests, but instead what I'm going to show you how to do is how to apply some custom decals to improve on these vests, to give them the different designs that Austin has worn throughout the years, and to improve on this one in particular. So the decals that I'm going to be using in this video are from Curb Stomp City Decals. I have purchased from this store before, and I'm a fan of the decals. I think they're pretty well produced. They're not too difficult to apply, but if you've never done it before, I'm going to show you how to do that and how the finished product looks. So as I said, I'm going to be improving upon this vest because this one is inaccurate. This came from the Royal Rumble 2021 wave, which had the gold lettering, and on the back, as you can see right here, it is just a gold skull, but what it needs are the letters alcohol fueled, so Mattel omitted that from this vest. I completely understand why. That's not something they can probably get away with, but if you want to have an accurate vest, here are the decals. So that's one of the vests that I'm going to be customizing. The other one I'm going to use one of the extra vests that came from the recently released WrestleMania Wave Stone Cold. This one is inaccurate as well. It's missing the words bulletproof, but I'm not going to add that. Instead, I'm going to completely change this vest. It's an extra one that I have. And I'm going to be applying the Austin BMF words on the front and 101 proof on the back. And then the third set of decals I'm going to be using is the Rattlesnake 316 DTA vest from Summerslam 1998. Now, we did actually get one from Mattel several years back. I missed out on that one, so I'm going to be making my own. So if you did miss out on that Stone Cold release, here's your way of making your own. Alright, so some of the tools that you are going to need for this custom tutorial for your own customization are a pair of tweezers. This is so that way you can grab the decals and apply them. You don't really want to use your fingers because you might mess that up, so tweezers would be very beneficial. And then in order to get these decals out, you're going to need a pair of scissors to cut them out. And then the last essential tool that you're going to need is a bowl of warm water. You don't want it too hot, but a bowl of warm water is essential to the directions on how to apply these, because these decals, they don't have a natural adhesive on them. Instead, you use water in order to apply them onto whatever figure you're customizing. Now, the other tool that you may or may not need is some nail polish remover with acetone. I say that because depending on how this set of decals are cut, they may perfectly fit over the lettering and the images that are already on the vest, so you could just place it over it. Otherwise, if it doesn't fit perfectly, you might have to remove this paint, so you can either paint over it, or in this case, I might use nail polish remover, but once we get to that step, I'll see if I need to do that. And each decal comes with its own set of instructions. The instructions are all the same, so in case if you're wondering how you would know how to do this, they are included in each set. Alright, so the first decal that I'm going to apply, I'm going to do the alcohol fueled one. I'm going to cut this, and then show you how I'm doing that, and also apply it on camera. And then for the rest of them, I'll do that off camera on my own, and I'll show you how all that looks. And then quickly, I wanted to show you an example of a decal that I used on a figure. This is the 2-pack Triple H figure that came with the Jeff Hardy. I applied the WrestleMania 18 logo right here, and that looks really good and smooth. So just as a fair warning, the smoother the surface is, the easier it is to apply the decal, and it'll look better. But on the back, the figure's butt is a little bumpier. There are more curves, so it's not a smooth, flat surface. So as you can see, there are some spots on the decals that didn't dry perfectly, some parts that weren't as easily flattened, so some bubbles kind of came up. So you may run into that issue on the back of the vest at the bottom. So there are these rigided parts right here, whereas on the top, it's smooth. And then on the other vests, there's some bumps here on the sides, so some of those bubbles may show up on the decals. Alright, so here are the two decals that are cut out. I'm going to go ahead and use a pair of tweezers to dip that in the water. The instructions are included with each set as mentioned. So the first step you want to do is cut the image out. It says clear paper, you can leave edges around the image as they won't show later. White paper, try not to leave edges, will show as white, so make sure you cut out the white parts so that way you only leave the black background. Second step, you're going to soak it in water, so let the decal soak in water for about 10 to 15 seconds using a tweezer. Now you're going to want to use warm water in cold weather. So step 3, you're going to remove the decal from the water, place it on a dry rag or paper towel, allow the decal to dry for about 10 seconds. Next, you're going to want to paint a layer of decal setting solution on the figure where the decal is to be placed, or wet the surface with amount of water. So I'm going to use water in my step instead. You're going to carefully slide/remove the back of the film away from the decal and apply it onto the figure. Next, you're going to use a sponge tool or dry rag to gently press down on the decal directly on the figure. I'm going to use a paper towel, and I'm going to gently press down on the decal, and then paint a layer of decal solution on the area to help remove air bubbles. That is optional. I don't have decal softened solution, so I'm not going to use that step. Continue to use sponge tool or the edge of your fingers to remove air bubbles. Next, you're going to let it dry. You want to do this for about 3 to 4 hours, and then finally you're going to touch it up and paint over the edges to blend in the decal. So as you can see, the dried decals on mine do have these white cracks around the edges. So this can happen depending on how you apply it. So usually the smoother you can apply it, the less you'll see of that. So on mine you can see on pretty much all the decals. So I am going to paint over it with black acrylic paint. And we're going to go ahead and see how that looks once it's all done. Alright, and here are the 3 vests, and they're on Stone Cold Steve Austin. The gold one, I actually didn't take it off, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So now I've got an accurate vest that says alcohol fueled, so that looks really neat. It's not perfectly blend in. You can clearly see where the black part of the decal, so it's a little bit shinier than the actual vest, but not a big deal, so that looks really neat. Then look at the Summerslam 98 vest. So this vest I did put on Stone Cold after I had applied the decal and painted. Looks like a little bit of white is still showing right there. So I did paint on this, so that must have cracked when I put the vest on. I was a little bit concerned if the decal would crack or come apart. This one did not. It did crack a little bit right there. Here you can see the rattlesnake DTA, so that looks really nice. So again, I did paint over the edges, so it's blended in a bit more. I'm gonna have to paint that part again. Then look at the back, so that looks much better. You've got 316, the rattlesnake head, and the rattlesnake word down at the bottom. That looks really neat. And then looking at the Austin BMF 101 proof, this one came out looking well until I put the vest on. The decals ended up cracking and separating from the vest, so that's disappointing. The BMF decals is still there, but the Austin on the side here and the 101 proof on the back did separate, so I don't know if I'm going to reapply this or if I should just keep the vest on and leave it like this once I try it again. So that is disappointing. I don't know if this was because this set of decals, I left it in the water just a little bit longer than the other ones, so I don't know if that had something to do with it or if it's just the unfortunate reality of bending the vest and it separated the decal. Because I did not have that issue with Triple H. Since that decal was placed right on the figure, I don't have to worry about that. So, gotta admit, that is a bit disappointing. I hate how that turned out, so I don't know, maybe I'll try reapplying it, fixing that up. So when it comes to a vest like these, I think it's best just to apply them on the figure and leave the vest on, not try to take it off, because then you run the risk of peeling it off like I did right here. But aside from that one, I think these two look great. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think I'm just going to keep them that way. I'll leave the vests on. So again, these decals are from Curb Stomp City Decals. So again, if you are interested, you can check their website. They have a ton of different decals. I have used them before on a few of my other figures, and if you had seen a couple of my Rock videos, that is the decal that I used for the baby blue WrestleMania 15 decal. So they do work, they are pretty good. This is the first time I've ever had an issue, so hopefully that's just an anomaly. I still say you should check them out if you're interested in customizing your figures. It was pretty easy to do, wasn't that difficult, and the instructions are included. So hopefully you found this video informative, hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you do, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, follow me on social media so you can be up to date with all my wrestling figure photography, and I'll see you next time.